How do you bicycle in Denmark? That is the question that many people is particularly interested in the answer to if they just arrived in Denmark or in Copenhagen and they feel a bit intimidated by all the bicycles going everywhere. I dedicated this video to this topic because it's important. Not only is bicycling a fast and cheap and effective way of experiencing Denmark and Copenhagen, but it's also a cultural thing. When you ride through the city with the wind in your hair and the sun on your skin, it feels like magic. It's hard to describe, but I really love that feeling. After watching this video, you will be completely prepared to hit the road on a rented bike or a bike that you bought. If you're looking for other tips and tricks on living in Denmark or visiting Denmark, then check out my other videos. Or subscribe to the channel and get daily updates with tips and tricks. Now let's hit the road and talk about bicycling. Hey there, my name is Stephen Højlund. I'm a Danish national trying to make life a little easier for foreigners visiting Denmark, as well as expats who are settling in Denmark or who have already lived here for some time. One of the most important things to do when visiting or living in Copenhagen or Denmark is to ride a bicycle. Most Danes own a bicycle, in fact many Danes own multiple bicycles. The city is made for it, and there's an accepting culture that accommodates bicyclists. The Danish Road Agency estimates that 40% of all bicycle trips made in Denmark are made to go to work or to school. So it is an important cultural thing to try it out when visiting Denmark at least, or if you live here, then I would just highly recommend you to do the same as the Danes do. And it's also a fun and effective way to move around and see parts of Copenhagen or other parts of the country. After all, it's a fairly small country, so pretty easy to get where you want to go. However, bicycling can also be dangerous. And to avoid that you have a bad experience in Denmark or get into an accident, I hope that you will see this video to the end. There are many good tips and tricks. I will cover the most important things you need to know to be safe and have a good experience on a bicycle in Denmark. This includes getting the bicycle ready before you head out in the traffic, most important rules for turning in intersections, positioning on the bicycle paths, signaling, general safety, and I have a couple of other things that you should be mindful about when you bicycle in Denmark. So, let's get started. Before you can go bicycling, you need a bike. Let's assume that you are going to rent one from many bike shops or the shared bike services available. Now you have a bike, but before you go bicycling, there are a few things we better check first. First, check the saddle height and adjust it if needed. Your saddle should be approximately where your hip bone is when standing next to the bike. Put it slightly lower if you are not so experienced riding a bicycle. Another way to see if the saddle is in the right position is if you are able to touch the ground standing on your toes on both feet while sitting on the saddle. This is important because your knees will hurt after some hours biking if you don't get the saddle position just right. The idea is that while pedaling, your legs will almost completely stretch out when the pedal is all the way down while you sit comfortably in the saddle. That's the state that you want to go for. Also, before bicycling, you need to check that the bell works. You might need it, and many Danes do, so why shouldn't you? More importantly, check the lights if you are going to use the bicycle at night. The fine is up to 200 euros if the police catches you without light. When you are bicycling in Copenhagen, it's very important to stay on the right side of the bike path. Similar to when you are driving your car on the highway back home, people will overtake you on the left and you need to make room for them to do so. If you fail to stay on the right, Danes will use the bell on you. In that case, it will indicate that I want to pass you. Can you please move aside? If you don't move fast enough, they might start shouting at you. Just a warning there. It's okay to ride side by side as long as you both move to the right if someone wants to pass from behind. Therefore, it's good bicycle etiquette to always keep an eye on who's behind you and if they want to pass you. So always look over your shoulder. Some bicyclists, they ride really fast, so you have to stay alert and look over your shoulder once in a while. Which brings me to the next topic, which is bicycle road rage. Bicycle road rage is a thing in Denmark. While Danes are not displaying negative emotions very often in public, you will probably see at least some passive aggressive eye rolling, head turning, or head shaking when you are out bicycling for the first time in Denmark. Oh, this guy. Danish cyclists depend on their bicycle to get from A to B on their daily commute to and from work, picking up kids and so on and so forth. So they are not out having fun on the two wheels. In many other countries, bicycles are considered recreational. In Denmark, it's your preferred mode of transportation, and if traffic is dense or some, pardon my French, idiot is fooling around on the road, the patience is not always there, unfortunately. So my advice to you is to think of the bicycle path as the highway you took to work every day back home. You stay on the right, otherwise you will have some aggressive dude late for a meeting on your bumper very soon, right? Turning left on a bicycle in Denmark is one of the most essential things to get right. It's also conceptually the most complicated, even though it's actually not really complicated. Anyway, here's how you do it. You see a green light on the intersection, cross the intersection and make a stop on the opposite corner. Here you wait for the green light in the left direction you want to go to while turning your bike in that direction. When the light changes to green in this new direction, you are safe to go and get where you want to go, and you have now completed a left turn. While it's actually not illegal to make a left turn together with the cars in the middle of the intersection, it's very dangerous. Nobody will expect a bicycle there, and you are very likely to be hit by a car, essentially. So promise me that you will never do that. Turning right on a bicycle in Danish traffic is simple. Like in a car, you roll forward into the intersection when the light turns green. Then you wait for pedestrians to cross on your right side. When there are no pedestrians in the intersection, you can make your right turn. Don't turn if the light is red, even though you will see some Danes doing so. That is super dangerous because passing cars, they might try to avoid the possible collision with you as they see you head right into the intersection, and therefore that might cause damage to people or property. What to do when a bus offloads passengers to the bicycle path in front of you. When a bus offloads passengers, you have to stop so that the passengers can enter and leave the bus safely. Many Danes don't stop, and it's super dangerous. A child or elderly person might be going out of the bus or into the bus, and if you hit them in the high speed, it can be fatal. If the bus stops at an island, so to speak, I don't know what the real term is, then you can continue and the bus passengers need to wait for you to pass. But pay attention, as many people don't know the rules and might just walk right out in front of you when you are on your bike. Pay special attention to tourist buses, as tourists forget to look for cyclists. When you bicycle in Denmark, you need to signal left and right, but also signal if you are braking. But actually, many Danes don't use these signals, so you don't have to take it too seriously, especially the braking part. Right and left are straightforward. Stretch your arm to the left or right depending on the direction that you want to turn to. But braking is a bit more tricky. Before you brake, you have to raise your right or left hand over your head like this. The tricky part is that it's quite hard to do while you are braking, and braking is something or sometimes not planned, right? So just do it if you have the time for it and you can do it in a safe manner. In Denmark and Copenhagen in particular, you have to lock your bicycle. Otherwise, poof, it's gone. Sometimes you see large shady men loading whole racks of bicycles into trucks and driving them away. Police cannot really do anything about it. Every day about 130 bicycles are stolen in Denmark, mostly in Copenhagen, so it's a real problem. So you need to lock your bike and preferably lock it to something. If you have an expensive bike, then it's not enough to lock it. It will get stolen either way. If you are a tourist, it should be sufficient just to lock the bike that is with the lock that is installed on your rental bike. If you have moved to Denmark and you want to own a bike, then I recommend you to buy a used and not too fancy bike to drive in the city. If you want a more fancy road bike, I would lock it in the basement, never on the street. You don't need to wear a helmet when you bicycle in Denmark, but it's highly recommendable. If you fall or get bumped into by a car or another cyclist, then you might fall. A fall might result in a concussion, which is pretty hard to get rid of. So I recommend using a helmet. You will see many Danes that don't wear helmets. I don't when I ride in the city because I like the feeling of wind in my hair. But if I ride my fast road bike, I do it due to the speed. If I had kids as well, I would do it for their sake too. Don't bicycle if you are drunk. Actually, you are allowed to in Denmark as long as you can control the bicycle and ride it in a safe manner. It is up to the police to judge if you can do so, and you can get a fine of up to 1,500 kroner if you are drunk and bicycle in an unsafe manner. You will see many Danes bicycle from bar to bar, a bit tipsy or maybe just pissed altogether. Sometimes someone lose their life like that. Don't be like them and let that not be you. If you are not used to biking, then I recommend that you walk instead, even if you get a couple of drinks only. That is just more safe. There are a couple of other things that are good to know as well when you are bicycling in Denmark. On a bike, you are considered to be a part of the traffic on par with cars. Therefore, you of course need to adhere to traffic signs the same way as they do. You need to stop at red lights and give way to pedestrians in intersections and crossings. You also need to make sure that your brakes work and that the bike is in good, safe condition. While many of these rules are not really enforced by law enforcement, fines can reach up to 700 kroner for these minor offenses. But most importantly is that you pay attention to the traffic, slow down and drive carefully, respecting other people in the traffic. Okay, I hope I gave you a good idea of how to bicycle in Denmark. If you like this video, please like it and subscribe to the channel down below. And if you have a follow-up question or an idea to a video you'd like me to make, then write a comment to this video down below as well. You can also check out my other videos here and here about how to do various things in Denmark, how to make money, how much you can earn, and so on and so forth. But until the next time, take care.